Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 11 of What If Naruto Had a Dream That Will Change Everything. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune for the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Given Abilities by 4 Devils over on Anime King. I hope you guys will enjoy and stay tuned for a new episode over on Anime King 3 as well. All links will be down in the description, but if you're new, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and join Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. I hope you're having a wonderful day guys, and if you're not, I hope I can make it a little bit better with my videos. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, after leaving Uncle and Kunai, Naruto went to have a shower as he made his way, where he met Sakura, as she apologized. She was angry at first, but she knew that Naruto tried his best. She also found out that Naruto was the one that spoke to Tsunade and the elders to give Sasuke a proper burial, even though they saw him as a traitor, as she apologized that she wasn't able to do enough to stop him. As she hugged Naruto at the end, as she wished him luck on his training trip. As Naruto had seen Sakura growth, yes, in the past 2 years, as she wasn't a fangirl anymore. She changed along the way, and that was something he was happy for. So with that they said goodbye, as Naruto headed off as he met up with Jiraiya. 3 years passed as Naruto came back to the village along with Jiraiya. As Naruto has been missing Zana, yes. He hasn't been himself lately. He has been training, but he hasn't been himself, as Jiraiya noticed that, as he spoke to Tsunade about it. As Tsunade wondered something in the village must be, well, holding him back here. That is the reason why he was happy here, even though we never really have any bonds. Well, he had Ayam. As Naruto came home and saw her. Later that day, Hinata and Sakura came. As they saw the place was a mess and blood on the wall, they thought something happened as they made their way to the bedroom, but Naruto was there with Zana. As they met her for the first time. As Zana, feelings had really grown for the blonde, and she missed him a lot, and Naruto was happy for that. As Naruto had went by to see Ayam and the old man. And the old man told Naruto that Ayam was married and expecting a kid, as Naruto kicked off the gate at the Inuzaka compound. And he sized up the guy that Ayam married. As the man didn't whimper from his gaze, as Naruto simply smiled at him. He told him if he hurt him though, him and him would have a talk, as he told him that he will never hurt Ayam. So with that Naruto headed off. As we then had a time skip. Gaara was taken. Tsunade had gathered Team 7 and sent Team 7 to retrieve him. As Naruto was impressed by Sakura's medical skill as they got the cloth from Conquerors immediately as Chiyo tagged along as well. They then encountered Itachi, as Naruto asked Itachi if he was angry that he killed his brother. Itachi was giving him vague answers as both of them started to fight. Naruto placed on some strange gloves. Every single attack Itachi threw, Naruto threw it back with twice the amount of power, as he ended up killing Itachi, well, knocking away his soul from the fake body. As this was just a clone, as the real Itachi opened his eyes in the cave. The leader of the Akatsuki was surprised that he was back so soon. So yeah guys, so it's basically let's put left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Kisame was also weak, as he had went out to battle as well, as he was another Konoha team. At the moment, Itachi was thinking about the battle that just happened, that he just lost. He had no idea how it was possible for Naruto to just absorb his technique and use it like he had a Sharingan. He could understand the more powerful technique because he saw the era on Naruto. It was saturated with so much chakra. But Itachi just couldn't figure out how Naruto used his own ninjutsu against him though. There must be some trickery. Seeing that Naruto fired both attacks from his palm instead of his mouth, because it was a fire style jutsu that he used. Had that been a real battle, he would have forced to use Susanoo or Amaterasu to overpower it, which meant that Naruto had become very dangerous to be capable of forcing him to go that far. I guess me and Sasori will be capturing the Kyuubi Jinjoke, as well as the Ichibai, yeah, said Deidara. as he was quite happy about getting one up on Itachi, who he hated. Itachi, what can you tell us about the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Sasori asks in Hiruko. Dark tone. Itachi stays silent, thinking about what he should say and how much he should reveal. He wasn't going to mention Naruto's strange ninjutsu ability since he wasn't sure to work yet. Aside from that, he didn't want anyone in the Akatsuki killing or capturing Naruto. Answer him, Itachi, Pain commanded. He is the big one with the sharp teeth, Itachi said, and that was all. If anyone was going to deal with Naruto Uzumaki, it was going to be him no matter what. Back in the clearing, they realized that they hadn't killed Itachi, as a corpse belonged to a Sand Shinobi. Naruto, how in the world did you mimic Itachi's techniques like you had the Sharingan? I thought that you had too much chakra you could use ninjutsu. Did you learn it while you were training with Jiraiya? Kakashi and Chiyo stayed silent, but they were waiting for answers as well. Nope, I still can't use ninjutsu. In fact, I can even use it less than before. But what I just showed was indeed what I learned during my training trip. Though Jiraiya had nothing to do with it. This is all my doing. But how could you do what you just did? Especially since you're not fire nature. Sakura asks as though she was really curious. The exact same way, where all best things in life are done. Fuinjutsu, the blonde said. So you found a way to mimic the Sharingan copy ability with Fuinjutsu, Kakashi said in shock. He never even imagined that would be even possible. Nope, but that does sound like an interesting project. I would need to make a sealed array that would distort any ninjutsu that came in contact with it and render it down to its component parts, and then find a way to reconstruct it at will, said Naruto as he started to think about what Kakashi said. Wait, but if that isn't what you did, what did you actually do? Sakura asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. Well, you see my gloves, said Naruto. All of them nodded. I've got a link, time-space, seal matrix inside my palms that can absorb anything that doesn't have a will of its own, which allow me to absorb the chakra into my own pocket dimension. It's a matrix that has multiple pocket small dimensions in there. I can store away different abilities, and I can select the right one when I want. Since the dimensions are in space-time ninjutsu, I can store any ninjutsu in there and throw them out whenever I want to. And anything I absorb, it preserves in there until I'm ready to use it. Naruto finally explained, getting dumbstruck looks. Kakashi-sensei, could you translate that? Because I'm not sure I understand all of it, said Sakura. Well, if I'm understanding correctly, Naruto has placed seals on his gloves that allow him to absorb and throw out anything, so he can use the ninjutsu of his enemies against them. Kakashi says he turned towards Naruto. Pretty much, said Naruto with a shrug. Though it probably wouldn't work if ninjutsu affect a wide area, or if the attacks is from multiple directions where he cannot extend his palm towards it. Kakashi said, seeing the weakness of the gloves. Yes, said Naruto, and I can only absorb with one gloves at a time. Or I might end up causing a dimensional collapse in the pocket dimension and erasing myself and everything else around me from existence. He said that carefree shrug. Sakura, Kakashi, and Chiyo took a step back away from the blonde. They didn't want to be erased from existence. That was all too clear what it meant, and that was not very comforting. But why would it collapse if you use both hands, Sakura said. She knew that she was smart, but this was just going straight over her head. Because if I do, there is a danger of me absorbing two techniques into the same dimension, causing a backlash with each of them combining, creating a paradox, and seeing that the other dimensions are linked together, it will collapse in on itself. If one of them go down, the other ones start to fall as well. And then it will cause a vacuum to come out of my gloves and start to suck everything until reality is set back. And you learn all of this on your own, without Jiraiya-sama's help at all, said Kakashi, as he was quite stunned that his student had progressed that far with Fuinjutsu. Jiraiya doesn't know anything when it comes to space-time ninjutsu. All it took was one accident. I might have nearly sent him to a hell dimension, and now he's too scared to come to me when I'm working on new things. The group all took another step backwards, just in case. But if you say that you were just throwing his own techniques at him, why did you call their names? And why do you say that you were learning them? Sakura asked, as she was confused about that. Oh, I just did that to screw with Itachi's head, said Naruto with a grin. Chiyo could only shook her head at what she just heard. Clearly, this Uzumaki Naruto was a mad genius, or a lunatic. Well, that wasn't surprising, as she knew about the Uzumaki clan. The rest of the world called them those crazy bastards, given the things they can do with seals. Time skip. Chiyo was deep in thought, as they started to advance towards the place where Gaara was being drained of his Biju. Recently, she had been surprised many times, and it caused her to reevaluate things. When Conqueror was dying of the poison, and none of the stand members could heal it. She was sure that he was going to be doomed. She was sure that Sandaime was probably the best mate that could save him. That meant there was no hope for Conqueror to live. Sandaime as Hokage couldn't leave Konoha, even if she could. Why would she come all the way to sand heal one of theirs, even if they were allies? When she heard that the team was coming, she thought they were nothing but foot soldiers. Instead, Sandaime sent her own apprentice, one of her best jonin, and not to mention, the Kyuubi Julki, the son of the 4th Hokage. Such a high-profile team that shocked her to her core. That was not how things was done in her day. Despite her attack on Kakashi, she felt no ill will towards him. She wasn't foolish enough to blame the son for the deeds of the father. His skill as a tracker and his dog summons also proved great help in finding Gaara. She felt grateful to Sakura for saving Kankuro, and she was impressed that one so young was so great as a healer. The young woman had a bright future ahead of her as a medic if she continued to progress. But Naruto Uzumaki, he was the most confused of the lot. His appearance confused her at first, as she thought he was nothing but a taijutsu powerhouse. But once Kankuro was cured, he told her that he was the one that fixed Gaara's seal, so that he could sleep and the Ichibai would no longer bother him. He also allowed him to freely speak to his mother's soul. That last part had surprised her a lot, as she had no idea that poor Karu had her son sealed inside of her soul. And this happened over 3 years ago. A teenager out of the academy had done that. He was surely advanced and quick in seals, not to mention what he's been doing right now, space-time ninjutsu. That was Kage level things. But this boy, he was on top level when it comes to Fuinjutsu. She could only hope that they succeed in rescue Gaara, as the Sand couldn't lose their Kazekage. The loss of the third had led to war, and it took them so long to appoint Gaara after the assassination of the fourth by Orochimaru. They couldn't afford to lose Gaara right now. As the group made their way, Kakashi, my youthful rival, the Hokage has sent us to help you rescue the Kazekage. Guy called out as soon as the two teams were in hearing distance of each other. Everyone else also exchanged short greetings, knowing that they couldn't get into a reunion right now. That's nice, guys, said Kakashi. Ga, even on this hot-blooded mission, you always keep up that hip attitude, said Guy. Kakashi shrugged as he got serious. Alright, enough playing around. The Kazekage is behind this boulder and we need to get through. Neji, can you see what's behind it? Neji activates Byakugan as they peer into the cave. Is Gaara still alive? Naruto asks. It's hard to see through. I can't say for certain, but it's not looking good, Neji said, as he did not mention a strange, statue-like thing, since he had no idea how to describe it. We need to get through fast, and if we're lucky, we might be able to save him, said Sakura. Not a problem. No boulder would prevent me from completing my mission, Guy said as he took a running start. Dynamic action! As he smashed his fist in the boulder. But nothing happened, not even a single crack. If you're done making an ass of yourself, Guy, we need to remove the barrier first, said Naruto. There's a 5 seal barrier, said Kakashi. There will be 4 other seals somewhere by. We need to remove all of them at once to bring the barrier down. Kakashi, which one of us here is the SealMaster, said Naruto. Kakashi looked towards Naruto. You are, he said. He's right though, Naruto-sensei. I can't think of any other way to bring the barrier down. The seal was made specifically for that, said Tenten. That's because you're thinking inside the box, my foolish young apprentice. You mean you know how to remove it another way? She said. Of course. All you need to do is think outside the box. Now, as your Fuinjutsu master, I hereby forbid you from thinking inside the box anymore. From now on, the only contact you have to have with the box is as it passes you, you are to wave it by. Well, that's easier said than done, Naruto-sensei, said Tenten. Anyway, back to the matter of hand, said Naruto. I can take the barrier down without a problem right here. He unsealed a Fuinjutsu brush and some ink. As Naruto jumped on the boulder and started to paint on it. Can you tell me what I'm doing, Tenten? Consider it part of your training, said Naruto. Looking closely, she said what she figured he was doing. It looks like you're setting up some infinite loop to cause a buildup of chakra. Indeed I am. The 5 seal tags are linked in a circular manner, giving it a lot of strength, but that can also be turned inward. With no way to release the tension, the chakra that I keep adding within my seal will put too much pressure until the barrier can't sustain it any longer. As Naruto finished and jumped off. Since the tags are the key points, the chakra will burst out, destroying all of them immediately. Everyone watches the tags start to glow brighter and brighter. We may want to get a bit further away. I have no idea how violent the reaction is going to be. As Naruto moved off, as the others start to move back as well. Boom! It exploded, along with 4 other explosions in the vicinity. Huh, said Naruto. Looks like some clever bastard placed 4 other powerful traps in the other areas. Yosh! Your skill with Fuinjutsu is so great, it exploded with you, Lee. Surely, said Naruto. Now that the tag was gone, Sakura leaped forward and smashed her fist into the boulder, destroying it. As Naruto landed beside her, I really need to learn that strength technique, he said. He could have destroyed the boulder with brute strength, but Sakura was a foot shorter than him and 100 pounds lighter. If you can't even use ninjutsu, there's no way that you can control your chakra to learn latest Navic super strength techniques, said Sakura. I will do it with Fuinjutsu, said Naruto. You know you can't do everything with Fuinjutsu, said Sakura. Blasphemy, said Naruto. Fuinjutsu is a magical solution of all things in life. I bet even with Fuinjutsu, I can make instant ramen actually instant. All I have to do is set up a space-time field where 3 minutes will pass in 3 seconds. I am deeply disturbed and terrified that you would tamper with the universe force to just cook ramen faster. Kakashi said, once many years ago he thought that Kushina was bad, but now he knew better. Kushina Fuinjutsu was quite calm to what he had to deal with now. The two team leaped inside. Looked like they got through the barrier pretty quickly, said Deidara, sitting on Gaara's body. I wonder how they managed that, said Sasori. Looks like all of them are here, but 4 of them should have been at the 4 other seal tags. Tenten, what do we say when the enemy wants to know how or why we did something, said Naruto. Tenten looked at him. Do I have to say Naruto-sensei? If you do, I'll let you play with the Kusanagi blade. Star came in Tenten's eyes as she turned towards him. Because, screw you, that's how she said, as she was blushing at her own words. As she then turned towards Naruto. Here you go, he says he unsealed the Kusanagi blade and threw it to her. As she gave it a short squeal. How unyouthful. As scandalous, Guy Lee said. This Shinjutsu a strange one is the Sasori. Itachi described him perfectly though. Deidara said when the blonde spoke he saw the fangs. And he was large, the largest one here. He has a powerful body and chakra. Once we finish extracting the Biju from him, I will turn him into my art. To my perfect weapon of a puppet. Sasori said as he doesn't seem concerned about the numbers against them. It will only take 1 hit from his weapon to take them down. And with this space they had, well, no time to dodge. And given that it was more of them, it was more crowded. You won't turn my body into a puppet, said Naruto. Sasori is the only puppeteer that has learned how to turn people into puppets and preserve their chakras, said Chiyo. Tell me something, said Naruto. When you turn people into puppets, do you remove their genitals? Everyone turned towards Naruto. That wasn't important, but he was still asking it. Of course, I remove all the organs to prevent decay. Well, good luck to that, said Naruto. Because I have a high explosive that is inscribed in my balls. So if it ever moves, you're done for. Everyone continued to stare at Naruto, as the people that were here never heard of this little detail. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is insane, but he know that art is the explosion, said Deidara. You're a fool, Deidara. True art is eternal and everlasting, said Sasori. That's so boring, true art is fleeting. Like explosion, Deidara said. You're both wrong, said Naruto. As everyone wondered what the hell was going on, weren't they supposed to be fighting? The only true art is Fuinjutsu. That is why it's called the art of sealing. The 2 Akatsuki members stared at him. As Sasori spoke, I will concede that Fuinjutsu is closer to art than Deidara explosive, but it is still not true art. It is not eternal. That's a load of crap, Sasori. There is no way some scribble on a piece of paper could ever come near to my explosive tendencies, said Deidara. Your explosion are crap, and I'll prove it to you by shoving it so far down your throat it will come out the other way, said Naruto. My art will blow you away before you even get close enough to try that. For a moment I thought you were a fellow artist, Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but you're just a naive person drawing scribbles and claiming that it's art. Deidara was now pissed off that someone was insulting his art. As Naruto lowered his head, as he laughed darkly. Squiggles, you say? We will see if they're just squiggles when I use that to throw you into a hell dimension with demons that are really horny. We will see if it's not art when they done ripping you apart in every single hole that you have. They will even try to make new holes until you're nothing but a smudge on the ground. You're a sick man, Naruto, said Sakura. Guy was trying to cover the ears of his students, protecting them from the youthful words, but he was only succeeding with Lee. Kakashi looked disturbed but also resigned. Chiyo didn't look surprised. She knew better than to insult Fuinjutsu when there was a Uzumaki present. You've gotten even crazier, Naruto-sensei, Tenten said. As Nietzsche nodded, he agreed. He thought that Naruto would calm down and become more normal. But it seems like things went the other way around. Sanity is for the weak, said Naruto. Sasori, is that even possible? I don't know, Deidara. But Fuinjutsu can do all sorts of strange things, said Sasori. He's actually kind of scary, said Deidara. Chains exploded from the grounds, forcing 2 of them to leap away, as the chains wrapped around Gaara's body, pulling him slowly over to the group. As Naruto was very slow, tunneling towards Gaara with his chains, making as much noise as possible to distract the two. And now that Gaara's body was secure, they could turn their attention towards two Akatsuki members. Sakura moved to check on Gaara, but they were too late. He's gone, she said. Since then, everything was going to turn violent at any moment, she decided to reveal the most dangerous aspect of Sasori's style. Be careful everyone, Sasori put a powerful poison on all of his weapons. Even a scratch will be fatal. You must dodge or block everything. We know that the other one used powerful explosive. He can't use too much powerful here because he will end up collapsing the cave. Don't attempt to engage him in taijutsu yet. It will make it too easy for one of Sasori's weapons to get you, said Chiyo. Everyone gave a short nod, even Guy and Lee. As Kakashi, Naruto, Tenten and Cho prepared themselves to start the battle, focusing on long range, while the others stay behind. Chiyo made the first move as she drew out several kunai and having them hover in the air in front of her, manipulating attack blades. They flew towards Sasori, but they were blocked by Scorpion Tail. But they changed direction and come back. They rip his Akatsuki robe but do nothing else. Tenten observed it. That would be useful if she could manipulate her weapons in mid-air like that. Looks like that tail might be problematic, but I can take it down for a certain. Said Naruto as he manifested a single chakra chain from his chest as he made it go slowly towards Sasori. Be wary of Senbon launchers. That puppet Hiroko had them last time I saw it, said Chiyo. Looks like the Kyuubi Jinchuriki wanted to see what the best tail Sasori no Daga, said Deidara, as he was already needing some clay in his remaining hand, as he was going to show off his art. The chain then snapped forward, but it was blocked by the tail. As the chain then wrapped around his tail and started to yank it, it immediately became aware to Sasori that Naruto could pull much harder than he can do with his tail. Not wanting to get in too close, Sasori ripped the mask off of Hiroko's face as he fired Senbons towards the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, counting on the healing factor to keep the Kyuubi alive. Naruto held out his hand as he started to absorb the poison Senbon to his hand. There were a lot of Senbons coming at him and he knew that he couldn't absorb them all. Seeing that he had some defense, Sasori turned his head towards the others. He was going to take out the backups, Kakashi, Guy, and Chiyo. They were perfectly capable of dodging Senbon as they did so. Tenten unsealed a large metal wall and hid behind it, as the others came back as well. Time to appreciate my art, said Deidara, as he sent his explosive clay to go around the metal wall. The group eyes widened as they saw the pale things coming at them. No dangers they were. They couldn't leave the protection of the wall though, seeing that the barrage of Senbon was still going on. 8 tetragrams. Vacuum palm, said Neji, as he blew the sculptures back towards Deidara, who swiftly dodged, causing them to explode against the wall, as Deidara had leaped away. Decided he played around enough, Naruto sent 3 more chains as he launched towards Sasori. His tail was all wrapped up so he couldn't dodge, as a chain smashed down to the puppet, but a black blur leaped out of it. Looks like the Kyuubi Jinchuriki destroyed your art, said Deidara. I will rebuild him after this battle, said Sasori's voice, sounding a lot younger. How? How can you still be so young, said Chiyo, her eyes wide. You look the same as you did 20 years ago. Kakashi focused his Sharingan and now revealed red head, looking for any tricks. He's turned himself into a puppet somehow. Kakashi said, my Sharingan can't detect any muscle movement in the face at all. So, you figure it out. Yes, I've turned myself to my art. I became eternal. Since you managed to destroy Hiroko, I will show you my favorite puppet. As he brought to the story scroll, poof, as he unsealed a puppet that caused Lady Chiyo eyes to widen in shock. That's the third Kazekage. So, it was you that killed him. Yes, it was me. He was a difficult opponent, but ultimately, he fell to my art and became a part of my art. Enough of this, said Naruto as he sent his chain towards the Kazekage puppet. Sasori manipulated his puppet away from Naruto, who was coming forward as well. As he decided he couldn't play around with this one, he already showed that he was dangerously powerful and skilled. The Kazekage puppet mouth opened and revealed iron particles that form into a shield. The chains were a chakra construct, so he couldn't use a magnetic force on them. Deidara tried to help, but found himself under attack by Kakashi, Guy, Lee, and Neji. While Sakura moved to back up Naruto, Tenten, seal away your weapons. The third Kazekage magnetic release will turn them against you, said Chiyo. Tenten quickly did as she was told, even sealing away the bar of Kusanagi. Since her expertise was weapons, she turned towards Fuinjutsu now, as she unsealed several scrolls. Meanwhile, Deidara was having a hard time, as he only had one arm since Itachi Jinchuriki took one of them. And he was now facing off against the 2 Taijutsu specialists and the Sharingan user. And not to mention the Hyuga, he was cursing, as he couldn't use his fullest art in his cave, but that didn't mean that he was useless, as he made several explosives and launched them. He then created a clay bird and flew up. They could run up the wall to catch him, but that would leave them wide open for his art. Unfortunate, he had forgotten about Tenten, which is why the web of lightning rushed towards him. The attack was too wide to dodge, and plus he was off guard, as it slammed right into him, destroying his clay bird as he was sent falling down. Tenten discarded the now spent scroll. She was never more glad that Naruto took her on as a student. If not for him, she'd have to stay back, since all of her weapons are metal. Before Deidara could even fall completely, he felt a multitude of senbons sticking into his body as he turned. As he saw Naruto pointing towards him, he then remembered how he had absorbed Sasori's attack. Deidara knew that he did not have much time now. Sasori poison was very potent, and soon enough he'll be knocked unconscious and paralyzed. Stop! We are to take him alive if possible, said Kakashi, as Guy, Neji, and Lee stopped. Deidara, you fool! The Kyuubi Jinchuriki has killed you, said Sasori, as he manipulated the Iron Sand to protect him against the overly strong pink-haired girl and the Jinchuriki. He was on the defensive as he couldn't attack, fearing the chains or the girl smashing the puppet. This so bad, they are on the defensive while their enemy hasn't taken a single hit yet. He had no idea how the blonde had done it. Must have been some Fuinjutsu seal or something. They had underestimated the enemy too much, and now it was stabbing them in the back. Damn it, I know that, Sasori, Deidara thought as he considered his options. They were getting fewer and fewer by the seconds as his poison was doing the work. As he knew that his partner never had an antidote, never seen the Reese develop one, so his death was certain. He didn't want to die from poison though. If he was going to die, he would go to the artistic explosion. Usually, he would say something about his art, showing the world, scarring it or something like that, but he was in too much pain. He removed his cloak, showing his chest, with a mouth on it. He was reaching his hand to remove the stitches, but a kunai pierced through his palm and pierced to the ground. His blurry vision showed Kakashi as a man approached and knocked him out. Another Sharingan bastard disposing of my art. Screw you all, Deidara said as he passed out. While that was going on, Sasori's situation had deteriorated further. He had almost managed to kill the pink-haired girl with the blades in the puppet arm, but his grandmother was keeping watch and blocked him. Sasori noticed that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki didn't absorb the Iron Sand. Unknown to Sasori, Naruto could not absorb it because it was not one particle, it was multiple tiny particles coming together. He wasn't keen on the idea of overloading its space-time ninjutsu storage matrix and getting erased. Sasori redirected the Iron Sand to another shape. Iron Sand, World Method. As he started to form around Naruto, who was having trouble evading all of them. For once, his large side was an interest in the fight, and he found himself getting scratched. Then one of them impaled his side. He didn't want to make a shield out of air, since he suspected the Iron Sand could pierce it. Naruto Sakura shouted in worry, as she rushed towards Kazekage puppet. If she destroyed the Iron Sand would fall. Be careful, Sakura! Cho and Kakashi yelled out at her. Sakura didn't listen as she kept on charging. Unfortunately for her though, this was exactly what Sasori was hoping for. Just as she reached above, the hidden compartment opened up and sprayed poison right at her. She was caught off guard as she inhaled some of the poison, but she kept on going as she smashed the puppet into pieces, causing all of the sand particles to collapse. The Iron Sand, even the spike that impaled Naruto as it fell out, turned to nothing but iron dust. Naruto collapsed and groaned a groan as he was in pain from the poison, and the wound burned his side. His chakra was burning it out. The poison was very potent. If Xana was still inside of him, she could have burned the poison out of him. But his chakra didn't have the same corrosive quality. The whole thing was made worse because he still had a bit of Iron Sand within his wound. Sasori was quite pleased by this. Losing his puppet was a disadvantage, but he had taken out 2 of his opponents. With those 2 out of the picture, he would no longer be forced on defensive, especially now that those chains were gone, as Shio used her strength to pull the both of them away. Kakashi was worried about his down students, but he knew the best he could do was protect them right now. But he was incredibly proud of them though. Defeating the 3rd Kazekage puppet was no easy feat. He couldn't even have done that without his Mangekyo Sharingan. Sakura wasted no time as she injected herself and Naruto with the antidotes as she prepared, as it would prevent them from getting affected for 3 minutes. Meanwhile, Tenten brought to the metal wall again. In case Sasori tried to attack them, Sakura said, Naruto, I still have a lot of Iron Sand in my wound. You have to cut me open and get it out, he said in clenched teeth. He was doing all he can to stall his healing, so that the wound would close with the sand still inside of him. He never thought he'd ever be in a situation where fast healing was a bad thing. And given that this was the first time he was doing this, the wound was still healing, although he was trying his best to prevent it, but he was moving rather slowly. Tenten handed Sakura a kunai. Sakura took a deep breath as she cut, as blood started to gush out along with the Iron Sand. Naruto groaned in pain as Sakura pushed her hand inside and used her chakra to pull out much of the iron particles as possible. She had to repeat the action several times, as she was now confident that all of the Iron Sand was removed. Naruto sighed relief when he felt her use a healing technique, and she wasn't shoving her hand inside his body again. As he released its healing ability, Sakura and Tenten were shocked. They knew that he could heal, but so fast, as it was gone within seconds, leaving nothing but the blood there. He was glad that he had so much chakra. healing that wound had taken 2 Kage level chakra. Yes, 2 Kage level shinobi. Just as they were about to rejoin the fight, everyone else jumped behind Tenten's wall, taking cover from something. A moment later, the wall started to glow red hot from intense flames. Sasori giving you trouble, said Naruto as he got up in a crouch. You could say that Kakashi said that I smiled. Happy to see that his students were alright. He had flames, but they are mostly unuseful, said Lee, looking confused by his own statement. The flame then stopped, but suddenly a burst of water shot into it, pushing the metal back, seeing that it was already so heated. They all backed up as the metal was groaning, clearly near its breaking point. The water pressure and rapid temperature change was too much for the pressure to, well, withstand. Naruto placed his hand down as he pushed his chakra into the floor, as he raised a solid wall. As Sasori jet break through the steel wall and smashed Naruto's wall, which was absorbed. As Naruto had placed water inside the wall that he created, as he could negate Sasori water jet. Once Sasori ran out of water, Naruto let his wall drop down, and the two sides stared at each other. The Konoha Shinobi plus Cho knew that he had the upper hand, but it wouldn't be simple to bring Sasori down. Sasori himself was confused. He poisoned those two earlier, how were they still on their feet? The poison should have paralyzed them by now. He decided just to ask, how are you able to stand? My poison should have paralyzed you by now. Sakura opened her mouth to answer, but then closed it, as she remembered what Naruto said not too long ago. It was something she would normally say, but considering that Naruto and her was nearly killed by Sakura, because, screw you, that's how she said. It was invisible because of the puppet body, but Sasori was irritated by the response. Naruto turned towards Sakura in surprise, as he grinned at her. Nice one, Sakura, he said. Up high, he said. She looked confused before she saw what he was going at, as she slapped her open palm with his own. Down low, he said, as he brought his palm down and she reached down, but he moved back his hand. Too slow, he said. She shot an irritated glare towards him, but she couldn't keep it up as he was just grinning at her. That he was willing to play around her like that was better than being ignored, like what he used to do before a training trip. This bond between teammates. This is youth, guy said with tears streaming from his eyes. He was moved. Guy-sensei, said Lee. Lee! Guy-sensei! Lee! As the both of them hug. As a cave morphed into a beach sunset. As Shiro wondered what the hell was going on as she tried to dispel the genjutsu, but it wouldn't budge. Sasori felt sick by that genjutsu even though he didn't have the capacity to feel sick. To have forced me to go this far, it seems that the Akatsuki gave you too much and become stronger. Kaiba Jinjulke. Right secret technique. Performance of 100 puppets. The cave was far more crowded as Sasori released a scroll, as 100 puppets were on seal. The rescue team read themselves as Kakashi adjusted the situation as he snapped out orders. Tenten, provide long range support. Sakura, you're the only man that we have that is capable of curing Sasori poison, so you cannot fight any further. Stay with Tenten and keep the last antidote for yourself. Neji, you're Jayugen. It's useless against the puppets. Stay with Tenten and Sakura and protect them. I can sever the chakra strings, Neji pointed out. That would just leave intact puppets lying around for Sasori to use again. We have to smash them all, said Kakashi. Neji nodded as he understood. They might be at the same rank, but Kakashi had more experience, and the plan made sense. The rest of us will destroy this puppet army. Watch each other's backs and don't let yourself get separated. All these puppets are poison, no doubt. All the Konoha Shinobis nodded. Lady Chiro brought out 2 puppets, as Sasori looked at them. So you brought those 2, huh, Granny, he said. I thought it would be fitting, since your mother and father were the 2 first puppets you ever made, said Chio. She was glad that she didn't have to bring out the Tenchikamaki puppets. It was a technique she did not like to use, too much blood spilled by it already. She didn't really want to kill her grandson, but she knew there was no avoiding it. Sasori has become as empty as the puppets he controlled. You think you can survive this technique? I once used it to conquer an entire nation. Yeah, but you cut your own balls off so you can turn yourself into a doll. For that I deduct 10,000 man points. From now on, you shall be known as a lesser man, said Naruto. What does that have to do with the battle, said Chio. Nothing at all, said Naruto. But I'll be damned if I'm defeated by a man who castrated himself. Tenten and Sakura sigh at Naruto quirks. And what then happened was quick. Sasori puppets were a lot, but they weren't really skilled. Kakashi and Gaara worked together with their long friendship, as it was strange but it was still a rivalry friendship, as the both of them destroyed puppets from left to right, as Kakashi uses lightning blade and rip right through them, as Guy simply uses massive strength. Lee was doing the same thing as Sensei, as Naruto made sure his chains were out, to destroy any puppets that might try to get Lee from behind. Chio wasn't even in the battle, she was using mother and father puppets, and dropping Sasori puppets from here. Tenten was throwing explosive as well, as Sakura and Neji were smashing the puppets that tried to came towards her. Sasori realized he was not going to win this. His enemies were too skilled, and they covered each other too well. Any single one of them he could have overwhelmed. But together they were far too strong. He and Deidara had been fools to wait for them in the cave, where they could not escape. Had they fought outside, it would have been simple to use one of Deidara's birds and fly from the air and fought them. They handicapped themselves too badly. Still, perhaps there was a way to get out of this. The rescue team had finished destroying the puppet army, and only Sasori remained. "Your defeated grandson, surrender," said Chiyo with sadness in her tone, as she knew he wouldn't accept that at all. Sasori didn't respond as he prepared the cable that was soaked with poison in his stomach and the fan on his back. Only for Naruto chains to wrap up in the fan, stopping it. As Chiyo puppet stopped the cable in his stomach, as they hold on to it tight, Guy came from the air and smashed his foot down on the skull of Sasori, destroying his body completely. As it was over, Sasori's chest compartment flew away. As the group started to make their way out of the cave with Deidara's unconscious body, Sasori cursed as he would just wait for them to leave. After all, he was not really dead, as his heart was still in contact and alive. But he saw the Hyuga came towards him, Byakugan activated, as he was playing possum in one of his broken puppets. He leaped forward, intent to kill Neji quick as possible and play possum once again. But Neji was already ready as he slapped the puppet aside and Hyuga strike right into the heart as it was destroyed in a burst. Finally, ending Sasori. Timeskip, Chiyo was deep in thought as the group made their way back towards the sand. Seeing what her grandson had become and seeing him die was difficult, but not as difficult as she expected. Harder to stomach was the fact that he took another Kazekage from the sand for whatever purpose. Despite his youth and difficult life, Gaara was a good Kazekage, not as powerful as his predecessors, but wise in decision, and a strong character. He won the admirations of the Sand Shinobis despite everything that he had suffered and the dislike of him being a Jinchuriki. Chiyo was aware of Gaara, bloodlust, and killings, even though Shin, her brother, was most likely removed from the workings of the village. She expected that one day Gaara would just snap and his father would have to kill him. Instead, Konoha Jinchuriki had fixed him and made him understand that killing was the wrong path. Now that she had met him, she could see why. Uzumaki Naruto had a skill. He had a rare strength, something about him that was unique to the world. Her entire life was a mix of bad decisions and mistakes. But seeing the changes now, seeing another group of shinobis come from another village, not to mention the second best medic there, sent by the Hokage herself, perhaps things are changing. "Set Gaara down here," she said, as she looked towards Naruto. She may not have been able to give Sasori one of his parents back, but she could do something right and give the sand its Kazekage. As Naruto glanced towards her, he could tell that she came to some decision of some sort, as he placed Gaara down. She placed her hands on Gaara's chest. She started to feel a strain as she started to restore his life, by the cause of her own. Her breathing became labored as seconds passed as Gaara didn't even stir. It was harder than she expected. She was certain that she could do it though. She still had plenty of chakra left after all. But then suddenly a large hand was placed over hers. "Don't bust a hip there, Granny. If you need some more chakra, I have plenty to spare." She nodded, little questioning. As she connected to the blonde chakra, she could feel the Uzumaki life force and how potent and strong his chakra was. It was making it seem almost easy to bring Gaara back to life. One thing she could not feel, however, though, was a Biju. She could not feel any Biju chakra, and she was quite familiar with Biju chakra as she fought Ichibai before. But she decided not to focus on that now and focus on bringing Gaara back. It didn't take too long as Naruto removed his hands and Gaara started to stir. As Lady Chiyo started to pant for breath, she still wanted to know why she couldn't feel like a Biju. That was all she managed to get out before her vision started to blur. Naruto gave her a slight wink, as he must be up to something, not letting people know that he wasn't a Jinchuriki anymore. As Naruto saw the look in her eyes, he sensed lack of Biju, as he never knew that would have happened if Lady Chiyo survived and tell anyone. But he saw the look in her eyes as he started to fade away, as she was gone. Gaara chose that moment to open his eyes. That was just in time when the Sand Shinobis found him. The following 10 minutes were happy celebration that Gaara was back, and a moment of silence for Lady Chiyo passing. "I'm so happy you're alright, Gaara," Tamara said, making sure that she wasn't crying. She was a Jonin and she wouldn't break into waterworks now. "I told you that we would get him back, Sugar Panties," said Naruto, as she glanced towards him. Every minute while they were coming back, he started to grope her, every time she was worrying about her brother. "Don't call me that, Naruto." She snapped at him, but she wasn't really angry, seeing that her brother was safe. "You know you like it," said Naruto, as he gave her ass another squeeze. As he wanted to see if she would blow up in front of all these people, she did, as she punched him in the gut once again. "Mother said that she wouldn't object to you dating Naruto," said Gaara. Tamara blushed as she sputtered for a moment. "I have no interest in dating this oversized pervert." It was then that a humanized figure came from Gaara's stand. The Sand siblings instantly recognized her as their mother. "Gaara, what are you doing?" Mother's doing this. Now that Shikaku's gone, she's capable of controlling the sand in his place. The sand version of Gaara's mother went towards Naruto and gave him a hug. Mother is thanking you for everything you've done for us, Naruto. Gaara explained. Naruto guessed that she must have remained inside the seal, since whatever technique Akatsuki used must have only acted towards the visual chakra. She was now going around hugging all of the Konoha Shinobi, as they were a bit freaked out by this, but Gaara was talking for her. She was just thanking them for saving her son. When she was done, she moved towards her own children as she hugged them as well, not that she could. As Naruto wondered how Gaara would handle having a girlfriend, with his mother being privy to every single detail of his life. That would be pretty damn fun to see. Time skip, the group was making their way to Konoha, with Naruto carrying the unconscious body of Deidara. As he was still poisoned, they had decided to leave it that way, so that he wouldn't escape somehow. They could give him the antidote once he was keeping Ibiki company. Those plans were derailed when they came in contact with a man, as he appeared out of nothingness, a swirling mass. He was wearing an orange mask, a single eye hole. He was standing on a branch, right in front of them. Hello there, Konoha Shinobi, he waved. They all stopped and narrowed their eyes, instant alert, due to his clothing. Who are you, said Kakashi. Tobi. Tobi's a good boy. What do you want, said Kakashi. Leader said if Tobi can bring back Deidara Senpai, then Tobi can join the Akatsuki. And Tobi will do this because Tobi's a good boy. Hey Tobi, do you know what else good boys do, said Naruto. Oh? Tobi wants to know, he screamed. If they want something, they get naked, down on their knees, and lick my ass, said Naruto. Kakashi, Sakura, Tenten, and Neji face palm. Guy and Lee mutter something about being unyouthful. Huh? Tobi said in confusion. So many bad words. Tobi thinks that Klebi Jinjuki is a bad boy. Tobi was told never to list the bad boys. Girls like bad boys more than good boys, Tobi. You should come to the dark side. We have women and cookies. We have a lot of cookies. Huh? Well, Tobi likes girls and cookies. But Tobi is unfortunately a good boy. Leader said that Tobi has to bring back Deidara Senpai, and Leader is scary. So Tobi will stay a good boy and bring Deidara Senpai back to Leader Sama. It won't do you good anyway. Deidara is poison and won't be alive much longer, said Sakura. Tobi was told to bring him back, so Tobi will be a good boy and bring him back, said Tobi. Well then, I'm gonna have to spank you, said Naruto. It's too bad if you were bad. We could have ruled the world together. As he dumped Deidara's body and launched towards Tobi. Tobi dodged the first blow, but the second blow knocked him down to the ground. Naruto stood there confused. He didn't feel anything. He didn't touch him. He was faking it. Ouch, said Tobi. I'm gonna tell Leader you hit me. You can tell your leader that he can kiss my ass, said Naruto. Oh, so mean. Leader won't like you very much. The others had by now surrounded Tobi, who didn't look concerned by the slightest. As he broke a stick off a tree. Alright now, time for Tobi's special jutsu. He then started going in the ground and appear and whacking him over the head. The few times they managed to hit him, he faked pain, as their attacks went through him like he was a ghost. Eventually, he had enough fun as he grabbed Deidara's body. That was just dumped on the ground. Deidara Senpai, you lost your arm, Tobi screamed, as he shook him. A chain ripped through Tobi's body to kill Deidara just in case. He'd be dead from the poison anyway, soon enough. But if they couldn't take him back, just to make sure. To Naruto's surprise, the chain passed through Deidara as well, so Tobi could pass his intangibility towards anything he touched. Bye bye, Konoha Shinobi, it was fun playing with you. As he started to sink in the ground and vanish. As everyone tried to find him, Naruto narrowed his eyes and thought. The only thing he could think of for intangibility was some kind of space-time technique. But he wielded it with such ease, it must be a ninjutsu, not a Fuinjutsu. He never thought something like that was possible. Space-time ninjutsu was difficult, and doing it with ninjutsu was just impossible. If Tobi is really a goof like that, then I'm the right Hokage, Naruto thought to himself. He didn't believe a fool like that could be capable of space-time manipulation on that level. Or probably Tobi was insane, seeing that Santi was for the weak. Well, it was time to find a way to disable space-time ninjutsu, just in case he had to fight that nut once again. Time skip. So it seems like everything turned out alright. It's a shame that this Tobi character had made his way off with Deidara. Having Akatsuki as a prisoner for interrogation would be convenient. Dismiss, she said. I still have something to talk to you about, Tsunade, said Naruto, as everyone looked towards him. Can this wait until tomorrow? I was just about to head home and get some rest. Tsunade said as it was pretty late and it was a long day. I'm possibly bursting with anticipation and it won't take long. Unless you want to. What he wanted had nothing to do with sex at all, but the way he just phrased it. Naruto, you can't talk to a worker like that, Neji said. As he couldn't believe that Naruto talked to her in that way, but making suggestions like that was just insane. You're such a prude, Neji. You really need to get laid. As Neji had no idea what to say to that. Besides, Tits and I are very close. A paperweight smashed into his face. What have I told you about calling me that, you pervert? I love it when you play rough with me, Snazzy, said Naruto. Snazzy eye twitched. She and Naruto are friends. But damn it, could he piss her off sometimes? And it seemed like he became even more perverted and insane while he was gone. Clearly, what put him in an angry mood in training trip was no longer bothering him, seeing that he was now acting like this. At least Jiraiya would be happy that his grandson was back to his own form of normality. As she wished his attitude was changed sometimes, she couldn't even get him stopped by throwing or cursing at him. Still, it was more interesting and fun than being called Hokage-sama the entire time. Not that she was going to ever tell anyone that, especially not the blonde. Whatever you want, you better talk fast before I toss you out of the window. The rest of you get out, she said. They were still shocked that he was talking to Hokage like that and was getting away with it, as they filed out of the room. Well, said Snazzy getting up. What the hell do you want? I got a little proposition for you, said Naruto as he went behind her and placed his hands on her shoulder and started to massage him. Snazzy groaned as the tension in her shoulders was a relief. Having huge breasts like these made her shoulders ache most time, even if she didn't show it. It wasn't the first time that he massaged her, and she had stopped trying to punch him for it by now. He directed her to sit down on the couch as he continued the massage. What kind of proposition, she said. She was pretty sure that he wasn't trying to do anything. He was just speaking like that to get a kick out of her sometime. I got a little Fuinjutsu project I'm working on, and I think that you'll be the perfect volunteer. Couldn't you just ask Kurenai or Kakashi or anyone else really? Why, specifically me? Snazzy asked, as her tone was quite calm. She had missed these massages in the past 3 years, because this is something I both were sure can benefit from. The whole village might benefit actually, and I want you because you're the only one that know the right technique for this. Well, I suppose Sakura knew them as well, but yours are more refined. As Naruto leaned forward, taking a look down her chest. As, well, he was still a man, and he had to take the opportunities. Let's hear it then, Snazzy said as her eyes were closed. Her interest was no peak. I think I can make a seal that will mimic the effect of your mystic palm techniques, but I have to analyze your chakra flow while you're using it. Snazzy's eyes shot open as she imagined how many lives could be saved if every team had notes that could heal them. She would have stood up to look at him, but he gripped her shoulders and pulled her back, making her lean up against his chest. As he whispered, but I want something in return. What do you want? She said. God, as her witness, if you wanted something sex related, she was going to pulverize him. Your strength technique. You don't have the control to use it, and it doesn't look like you will ever will. She was surprised that he would ask for something like that, when he knew he had a chakra control problem. You didn't think that the mystical palm technique was the only thing I'm capable of remaking with Fuinjutsu, do you? She scowled at the clear amusement in his voice. I don't know. I only taught Sakura my strength technique because she's my apprentice. I don't want every shinobi in the village to have it, Snazzy said. The idea of having one of her prized techniques for her own, like Candy, was not something she was pleased of. No need to worry about that if I'm right. My Fuinjutsu work of it will be chakra consuming, so it will only work for me anyway. And if you're still concerned about me having it because I'm not your apprentice, think about how many people could be saved because they didn't have a medic on the team if they had a seal with the mystic palm technique within it. The way he was bribing her right now, she felt like she was making a deal with the devil. Something as good as this would be almost like having a medic on every team. Some ways it would be better because anyone could use a seal tag. Just add chakra and you get healing. Why do you want to learn so badly anyway? Sakura said I couldn't do it with Fuinjutsu, so I'm gonna do it just to prove her wrong. Aside from that, it's a totally badass technique. In spite of herself, she felt her ego rise at having one of her techniques being known as badass. I'll even get Gamabunta to give you some of that special sake. There was only so much temptation you could throw at someone before they crack. Massage and all of this. Sake from Gamabunta. That was the best in the land. And the ceiling medic. What harm could Naruto do with her super strength technique anyway? But guys, it'll be in this video right here. If you want to see next part, concerns, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.